Game no crash.
Turning mic on. Hello! Hello! I didn't wait 10 seconds. It's probably chopping. But you know what? I'm just relieved that the thing didn't crash again. But, here we are. Existential Gamers Live, guys. Back again. Sorry I missed, yesterday. I was supposed to stream yesterday, but I think I've just been exhausted this entire week. I think it's just finally catching up to me. I'm not burnt out. Like, I still love doing this, guys, because I know everyone keeps, like, bugging me about that. They're like, oh, you're burnt out, you're burnt out, you're burnt out. No, I'm not burnt out. I'm just tired. There's a difference. I see a little bit of rest. But, today I'm joined by my good friend, Luke Schloemer. I always say it wrong. Okay, say it for me. Thank you, please.
Luke Schloemer.
Schlemmer.
The O is what throws everyone off and ruins lives.
What do you know what, like, I just kind of want to talk about this because I recently found out what my last name actually means. Do you know what your last name, like, actually comes from?
It comes from Germany. I don't know what the actual, like, etymology of the word is, though.
Okay.
But I feel like they purposely made it hard to spell, and then now it just trips everybody up forever. I learned that very early on, like in fifth grade. As soon as your name gets announced for anything, I was like, oh, I see how this is gonna go the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's how it was for me too in school, because my last name is Angiano, and I remember they just say all types of things. I'm like, okay, Anguino,
Yeah.
Anguano, Iguana.
I mean, with mine at least, people are like, that's weird. I don't know how to say that, and then they'll like guess at it, and then like they'll do exactly what you just did. They'll be like, is that right? And I'll be like, close.
Yeah.
I appreciate the effort, is all I'm saying.
Oh, yes. I felt bad because I was like, I've known this guy for so long and I still can't pronounce his last name right. Oh.
There are more important things to be upset about.
That's true. That's true. That's true. So, but yeah, my last name apparently means of the snake.
Of the snake?
Yeah, because Anguis, the first part of Angiano, is Latin for snake. And it's also where the word anguish and anxiety and anger, which anger comes from angerere, which means to choke. Something is choking, something is narrow and tight. So like all that just comes from like that idea of that. So that's why anxiety feels like a tightening feeling. Anger is like this, like your whole body.
Well, I just googled it, and it says it means feaster or glutton. So
your last name?
Yeah, so I got that going for me, I guess.
Hell yeah.
the Schlemmer the Glutton.
So let me say hi to chat really quick. Junior, what's up? Thanks for stopping by. Awesome Shark, you're here to kill chaos. What does that even mean? Well, I'd like to have some context behind that. Why do everybody think that I'm just gonna know what they're gonna say, you know? Like, they just say some random thing, and they're just like, yeah, he's totally gonna get that.
It may be to do exactly what you just did, to make you be like, what does that mean? Let me call it out in the chat. And then they're like,
now I'm intrigued.
You talk to me.
You know what? Freaking 3D chess here, let's go. But if anybody has seen my previous playthrough of this game, at the very end of the first game, the big bad guy, a bad girl, I guess you say, of the last game, which is a big giant owl, which turned out to just, you know, be upset because her babies died, had one last baby that survived, and that's this owl, but she sacrificed her life to save everybody. She went from being the bad guy of the villain of the game to being the hero, and it was beautiful, sad. And so now we're raising the little baby.
You just spoiled the entire game for everybody if they haven't played.
If they haven't played the first one, well, you know, that sucks. Sucks to suck. Have you played the first game?
No, I have not.
Alright, sucks to suck. No, I was kidding.
Yeah, I've gotten the whole Ori cinematic universe ruined for me just now.
No, it's still a great game. Check it out, guys. Like, honestly, like, I mean, this is me speaking personally for me. Like, the story was kind of like predictable, but at the same time, like, it was still like sweet and adorable, and it was just like, oh, it was amazing. And the game's beautiful art.
Yeah, it does look gorgeous.
Yeah, I'm sure people were super excited. Oh, we got some Nemo looking bird here now. One messed up wing. But yeah, let's continue with these questions. I brought you here to interview and to hang out, and talk about stuff, talk about life. Not to pay attention to this damn stupid game. I'm sorry if the developer ever sees this. Your game is amazing and beautiful.
You just lost a sub.
Oh.
The writer was in the stream.
I didn't say anything about the right. Oh wait, yeah, I did. All right, but I just wanted to start off simple. How's life? How's the world treating you? How are you treating yourself? That's always very important. I think you gotta ask yourself that. How am I treating myself? Because all of you out there, you need to ask yourselves that. How are you treating yourselves? But anyways, yeah. Go ahead.
I'm doing fine. Keeping busy. Work was really busy the past couple weeks, and then I'm on vacation right now, so I'm kind of enjoying a nice lull in busyness.
That sounds great.
I've been treating myself okay because I requested a vacation off right after a really stressful project. So normally, I think when I first started working, I probably wouldn't have done that. I would have just rolled right into the next thing. But I'd be like, no, I need some time to recharge the mental batteries.
I feel like that bird right now. I'm just like, life is exhausting.
It can be. It definitely can be.
And you were saying today too was like really exhausting for you as well, right?
Oh yeah, I was doing some interviews for some other places, and just kind of seeing what's out there,
Mm-hmm.
I do it kind of occasionally, just to see, because like it, even if I don't like get something, it's just a way to like keep my eye on where I stand in the industry,
Yeah.
and so it can be a confidence boost or a like kind of like a sign to like, oh, really need to focus on this topic or whatever. So
No, that's really good. I think more of us need to do that. I wish I actually went and did put in resumes and stuff too for other things. I feel like a lot of us get a little too comfortable and complacent, even though we're not necessarily happy with where we're at. And so
yeah,
I think that's wonderful that you're at least putting in that time.
yeah, the complacency thing is tough, especially like when you've been at a place for a long time, because you build up like relationships and it makes it messier, I guess, in a sense, to like try and move on or look elsewhere or whatever, because there's loyalties involved and that whole thing, and it's an interesting tightrope walk for sure.
Yeah. All right.
This game is beautiful.
Oh yeah.
I love the lighting.
Like part of me is just like, oh yeah, this is very similar. It's familiar because it's just like played the first one, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's kind of blending in. But like when you really look at it, you're just like, holy crap, there's such a huge improvement. Like,
yeah, they're doing some interesting stuff. It's like stylized, but then they also do some realistic rendering on stuff, like the water and stuff. It's interesting. I love when games do that, when they sort of have like a hybrid approach to things,
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, in a sense, that's art, right? Like, you should always be trying to like mix things together, not just repeating whatever has been done already, in a sense.
Yeah, for sure. And them taking that approach, makes this game stand out more.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Oh, this time it's like more 3D-ish. The character renders before it was 2D.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
oh, so
yeah.
were they using like sprites or something? Like sprite
No,
animation?
it didn't look like sprite animation. But this one, I can definitely tell there's a difference. Like,
yeah.
Unless they used 3D last time too, but it just didn't seem like it.
Maybe it was just more reserved,
Oh wait, am I going the wrong way? No, I'm going the wrong way. So yeah, I just wanted to ask, what are you currently working on right now?
So at Magnopus, I've done a lot of different projects, which is where I'm a tech artist, and I just kind of help out the art team do art things and keep them making good art, and being the liaison for going between them and engineers who are frustrated with things like poly count and things being unperformant, and I kind of bridged that gap a little bit. So we just got done I guess at the end of last year, we were helping out with like a virtual concert stuff. So we
Oh
like
wow.
would talk with I mean, we were contracted to do some of the like the environments and then put the whole like show part together. So like all the effects and stuff and lighting changes and that kind of stuff. And then more recently, I just helped out with a virtual production project, which is kind of akin to the Mandalorian a little bit, like not in the same caliber or anything, but like just where they use the volume to light like the actors and stuff. If you've watched the behind the scenes of the Mandalorian,
They have
you'll know what
that
I'm
big
talking about.
room, right?
Yeah. So I got
Yeah.
to see one of those in person,
Oh
and
wow.
our content was up on the wall. It was really cool. Um, but
I still
otherwise,
haven't
I've
seen
been.
the show, but
Well, yeah. So you heard about the tech because it's super cool. So,
yeah.
and then on the side, I've been developing my own game with some former coworkers rather, that I met at Magnopus, and have now been doing it on our own time.
Wow.
That's been keeping me plenty busy.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you want to talk more about that, or?
Yeah, so from a high level, we're kind of going for like an Among Us meets Luigi's Mansion vibe. So we want kind of like the social party aspect that Among Us has, but along with kind of like a harder edge. Like you play Luigi's Mansion, right? You know
Yeah.
how like it's kind of friendly and cozy most of the time, and then every once
Mhm.
in a while it kind of shows its hand. You're like, ugh, that was kind of
Yeah,
scary.
yeah.
So like we're kind of wanting to tap into that a little bit, but like just kind of having it to where you can play and scare your friends and everybody has a good laugh about it, but nobody's traumatized.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Dead by Daylight, I think we've drawn a lot of inspiration from. But that goes like full on into the horror genre, whereas we're trying to keep it a little bit more light. So like kind of like I guess a PG-13 Luigi's Mansion is kind of what we're aiming for.
Mhm.
Um, but essentially, there's one player who's a like a seeker, so like going around the haunted house, and then all your friends play as ghosts, which are messing with them while they're searching around the house. And so we've been working on it for I think over a year now. Um, and then we're just kind of moving into production and getting like our Steam page set up and
Wow.
screenshots and trailers and starting to make a bunch of content and getting like some additional help from like concept artists and stuff to really make it something that'll stand on its own. So it's exciting, but it's going to be a lot of work.
Yeah. No, I'm excited for you, dude. Like, I personally got to see a little bit of it, and it's looking really good. I'm excited. I want to see more of it.
Thank you. I hope to show you more soon too, because we've been hitting some checkpoints, in terms of development, and we got the first version you saw was like when it was all boxy and shit, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's just like,
Yeah,
which it's totally understandable. I guess start
yeah,
somewhere.
yeah.
I still
So
enjoyed it
coming
though.
a long way
Oh,
since that, and really hoping to get a lot more like handcrafted stuff in there, and yeah, I don't know. We're all really excited, and we feel like we have between I'm handling a lot of the art and the tech art stuff, and then we're looking to some people within like the broader game development community to kind of help us out from some of the fancier assets, like characters and stuff, because nobody wants to see the kind of characters that I make. And then we have David, who's kind of like our programmer, developer, a little bit of everything. He's doing most of the coding. And then Morgan, who's like a writer, and so she's kind of fleshing out the world and adding a lot of character to characters, so to speak.
well, that's good.
And we all kind of we're kind of like a brain trust, so we all kind of have a hand in design and the broader picture. So it's like we all got our specialties, but then we all work together to form the larger picture. And it's been
Mm.
really I've really enjoyed working on it. I haven't gotten to do like a lot of creative like direction stuff in my career. You know, like I've been able to help a little bit on larger projects, but all the larger projects I worked on at Magnopus are, you know, they're, you know, like the Coco VR and Mission ISS and
Yeah.
stuff, and they have these very like clear cut goals, and you know, there's usually other companies involved that have a very large financial stake in the game. So this is like something where we have total control, which is, you know, a blessing and a curse depending on how you look at it.
It's not depending on how you look at it. It's depending how it comes out.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
That's great, man. Actually had one of my questions was actually you kind of answered it, but I would just want to know if you had any other games that inspired you guys to make your game. I know you mentioned Dead by Daylight and Luigi's Mansion, but is there anything else that you guys think you took inspiration from?
I know early on, we played a lot of Crawl. If you played Crawl before,
Yes,
it's that like asymmetrical dungeon crawler game. We definitely took some inspiration for that. We love the back and forth ebb and flow of that, and one of the things that we kind of identified as fun is even when you're out and you're not like doing much, the ghosts still have something to do. You know, like they can kind of like float around and gather orbs and stuff. So like we kind of have our own kind of spin on that formula, but just like in the interest of giving somebody something to do, you know, while they're maybe not necessarily doing the big scary thing, they can still, you know, help out and contribute to the ghostly cause, so to speak.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, so I think Crawl is definitely a main inspiration. You remember the I know I touched on Luigi's Mansion, but you know the Wii U game, the like player versus player Luigi's Mansion game where you're like the ghost, and then there's one ghost, and then there's the people in the mansion, and you're supposed. It's like a.
I don't think so. I don't think I've played
Okay. Okay. Well, essentially, it was in Nintendo Land. Essentially, it's just you're in
Oh,
like.
wait. Yeah. Okay. Now I remember. Nintendo
Yeah.
Land. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
So
boy.
we took some inspiration from that and the kind of the chaotic party horror atmosphere of that, and that's something we really want to kind of lean into quite a bit because we want it to be approachable for people. You know, like the ideal thing is you're not scared to play it, and I've felt like I've seen that from Dead by Daylight, introducing that to people. You know, 'cause
Yeah.
it's certainly a scary game, and like I don't know, I think we just want to have something a little bit more gentle, and we're hoping to have like stuff later on the line that, you know, can like accessibility options, but for horror, essentially, to make things a little bit more palatable for people who are scaredy cats, because you know, it just broadens your audience a little bit that way.
They just need to grow some balls. No, I was kidding. Just kidding.
I mean, some people get like major stress responses from horror,
yeah.
so I'm not looking to just like throw anybody into the fire from that.
No, of course. There's people already. I've tried to introduce them to Dead by Daylight, and it's like it's like terrifying for them. I mean, don't get me wrong. I sometimes get scared, especially if you got a Myers just jumping out of nowhere, grabbing you off a generator. I'm just like, holy shit. But to kind of go off what you were saying with the whole like giving the players something to do, what did you say was inspired by why am I forgetting something? Crawl, thank you. I like that so much, and that's something I wish Dead by Daylight had, honestly.
Yeah, the downtime, like in between rounds or when you're dead, is something that I've like, you know, we've had in so many games too, and it's interesting to see what like different games do to get around that. Like, you've played PUBG and Apex, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What I thought was great about Apex, which was like an evolution on the formula, is the fact that you can like revive your squad mates after you know the player dies, because otherwise, you know, like you're just waiting for 15-20 minutes for the rest of your buddies, your squad mates, to like, you know, finish the game or whatever. And so like the idea that you can, you know, come back and continue playing mid-round is something that's always been like, that's clever, you know, they should do more of that. So and then Dead by Daylight kind of has the same problem, right? You die, and then you just kind of wait for the rest of your group to finish, or, you know, the killer gets everybody and then you move on with your life. So but there's downtime involved despite you still having the game open, you know. So it'd be curious to like, I wonder if that was a specific design consideration, you know, that they made, or like I wonder if there's stuff that you could do like as like a human, just like helping the last survivors, or you know, somehow giving them some benefits or something, rather than just being completely hands off for the rest of the game, you know?
Yeah, I actually had a few ideas for the game too. Like I was thinking like they could do some sort of like spirit world, like almost like you're a ghost, a ghost, and like you can interact with the living world and like even help out your teammates. But you can still get attacked by the killer. The killer can see you, and if he attacks you, like it kind of like resets you, I guess, in the sense. Maybe even worse, like maybe it helps him, like, you know, access, you know, the where the other survivors are at, because you know you decided to let yourself get caught, you know, again.
Yeah, like it's the same thing with if you've played Left 4 Dead, like the player versus player mode. I always wanted the ability to possess like one of the rando scrub zombies, like while you're waiting for your respawn timer to finish, you know? I'm like, just give
Yeah,
me something to do. I realize I'm not gonna do much, but just let me do something.
they actually have zombies now in Dead by Daylight.
Oh, they do?
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, with the new Resident Evil update, they have
Oh, right. Yeah, they did that.
yeah, they have Nemesis, and he comes with 2 zombies that roam the map.
Is it 2 other players?
No, it's just
Oh,
CPU controlled
okay.
zombies. And they
Okay.
can be kind of annoying, because like you'll be like looping the killer, and then one of the zombies just says like, "Hey, does somebody call for a block, like a wall?" And you're just like, "Shit!" And you either have to take the hit from the zombie or get hit by the killer, which, you know, you're gonna take the hit from the zombie. But say if you're just like your last hit, you're like, "Well, I guess I'm going down." But
Yeah, Dead by Daylight has been fascinating to watch, like, you know, them grow and
oh
develop
yeah,
as a game and like as an IP. Like I never would have guessed when that game first came out, you know, and I think we played it like fairly early on when it was in
yeah,
early access and stuff. And seeing how far it's come with all these like massive movie franchises tying into it, you know, and now games and everything, it's just like, man, good for them. I'm so happy for them. Like that success is so inspiring for, you know, other indie developers, like just to see how far they can come, you know?
yeah. In 5 years, it's amazing.
That's so crazy too. It's only been 5 years, and look at like that's like a major cash cow now, you know? And it's like they just stuck with it, and they kept doing content updates, they kept engaging with the community, and you know, eventually enough right heads turn around and comes a huge deal, you know? It's crazy.
Yeah. I remember when they announced Silent Hill, I was just like, I was freaking out. I was just like, really? Yes. Yeah, that's good stuff. I still enjoy the game very much, even though I know it still has its issues and stuff. There's a lot of potential behind it. But hence why I'm also excited about your game, because, you know, it's the same thing. It's just like, you know.
Yeah, I figured it's why you were one of the first people I kind of reached out to play test it, because I'm like, I think this is a game that Michael would enjoy.
Oh yeah, dude,
I've always loved the asymmetrical stuff.
oh yeah, me too. And like even like people always give like those games crap because they're just um they always say like, oh, it's impossible to balance, impossible to balance. And maybe, and I feel like balancing in general is kind of impossible, because once you do balance things out, the game kind of gets a little stale.
Yeah.
But I don't know, just overall, like, it's just something about it. Just it's just really fun to have that, like one person having that power and everything. Because, you know, I feel like everybody kind of has that power fantasy. Well, not everybody, but most people. And it kind of fills that spot. And then also working as a team to like take somebody out, like, you know, or, like defeat somebody and stuff like that. So that asymmetrical is always great. Like you were saying with the Nintendo Land, so many of those games were fun because a lot of them were asymmetrical. And that's what I liked. That's what I liked about the Wii U.
Yeah, because they had that unique, like, oh, here's a controller that's also a console, and then it also hooks up to the TV. So it's like, it was cool that was the approach that they went with for, you know, all the like demo game. I mean, Nintendo Land was kind of just like here's how the console can do different things, and these are the games we made around the console's unique features. But I loved that they all ended up on like asymmetrical stuff. Like over the course of the pandemic, I met up with David and Morgan, and they actually bought a Wii U, and we were playing all the old Nintendo Land games for like, you know, inspiration and feedback and stuff like that. And even the Mario game where you're like hunting for Mario
Oh
in the
yeah.
and like that is so fun. And it's, you know, and it's cool because when you lose, you can like pass it around and be like, actually, you know, I'm tired of playing this one, you know, why don't you try it? And that's really cool too. I enjoy the, you know, the swapping around of
Oh shit.
perspectives. You know, I wish that was a little bit easier in Dead by Daylight, but I know it's like it's more structured and stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's like the games run a much longer. Oh jeez, giant wolf.
Yeah, I'm terrified right now.
Don't die.
He's like
Don't
on
mess up.
my ass. Like
Don't mess up.
Oh, I did a Mario jump. I don't think I was. Ah! Oh, have fire. Bitch. All right. Run away. Oh, never mind. Back. Back.
You know, like fire.
Ah, I got hit. It's a boss fight. This is some Dark Souls right here. Alright.
Ah, look at the lighting on the steps. That's cool.
Oh boy. Oh, okay. I gotta treat this like Dark Souls and Monster Hunter.
I guess so. Yeah.
Oh my god, I keep getting hit by that one. I'm gonna die.
Oh, did you play the Demon Souls remake?
I have not. I don't have a PS5.
Oh, it was so good. I never played the original, but I had a buddy who is really into Demon Souls, Dark Souls, and stuff, and he like handheld me through the opening area so I could get through the initial frustration block that everybody has with the Souls-like games, and I ended up beating it and really enjoying it. And the art was gorgeous.
Oh man, I played through Demon Souls, the original one, and
okay.
That was like my brother's one that introduced me to the Soul series, and like he showed me the trailer for Demon Souls, and I was just like, "What is this? Looks amazing!" And I played the hell out of it. I'd play it all day. Like I think it was during high school, right? Like I think when it came out for the PS3. I would just stay up playing it all night. Like, and I met some like random people. I ended up getting the platinum on the game. Like that's just how much I played it. Like I was just getting all the weapons, all the spells and stuff like that. So I saw that they're remaking it. I was just like, oh.
Do I want to go through that pain again?
Oh,
Yeah, I'm going through that right now with the Mass Effect trilogy. Like I 100%ed them all back in like the previous times I played it. So this time I'm not worrying about it, even though the completionist in my brain is screaming like, "What are you doing? You need to finish it." Yeah. But I'm just like, no, I've already done this. I don't need it again. I'm just here to see the cool HD visuals.
I'll probably just look up a playthrough and watch somebody play through it, because, or I don't know, maybe in the future I'll play it on my stream and stuff. It'd be nice to play.
Yeah, the lighting is very good in that game.
Stop. I was kidding. Oh gosh. So one of my next questions was, let me read comments really fast. You were talking about the Square Enix presentation for E3. I know you said this a long time ago, but I didn't want to interrupt at all. Next killer should be The Thing. Dude, you know, actually that would be really cool.
Yes. That would be so awesome. I love that movie.
I agree with that. But the thing is, it's just really hard to make it work.
Yeah.
Because you would waste so much time trying to mess with the survivors that they'd probably already get all the generators done.
Well, yeah, plus, like, don't most survivors anyway, like, have their own private Discord that they're
so,
anyway?
Like, they're gonna be like, is that you? No.
Yeah, oh, weird.
Oh,
there's a survivor that is behaving not as you're talking, so, better kill him.
Yeah.
That would be really cool if they could make it work, though. I love that movie. That's, like, one of my all-time favorite horror movies.
What they could do is make it so that, like, when you turn into a survivor, you know, your terror radius goes away because you're a survivor. So like you could like start running towards somebody and freak everybody out, like, so they can't trust each other in a sense, even though they have a Discord chat and everything. It's like, is that you? It's like, no, it's not me. Oh god. So I can still see us making it work. You just have to make the transition between turning into a survivor and stuff being really quick, like just like, you know, you turn into
yeah,
and giving you the option to choose, like almost like the spy in Team Fortress, who else does that? That's all I can think of right now is the Team Fortress Spy. But there's another game that's like Among Us. The one with it's like a more 3D based game. It's Little Astronaut. I've been wanting to play it. A friend wanted me to play with him. I'm forgetting the name of the game though. But yeah, that one also has the ability where you can turn into other like little astronauts. You're like an alien and you can turn into the other Little Astronaut guys.
Oh, I downloaded that game, but I didn't play it.
Yeah, because it's
Unfortunate
free.
Spaceman, right?
There you go. Yeah, Unfortunate
Yeah.
Spaceman. So it kind of work like that, and I think it would be really cool. I got a new ability. Oh. Okay. Yeah. So I'm trying to do. Oh, I have to assign it. X for cut. Yeah. Holy mo! What am I, freaking Dante? Or Sephiroth or something? Jesus. You turn more monstrous close to the end of the match. I would say more of like, you know, maybe like the longer you're near a survivor, you know, you start losing your disguise. I don't know. I just, the ability, I mean, the whole point of the ability is just so you can get close to survivors. And then also so like distrust between the survivors. Which, I mean, you don't really need to do, kind of do that already, but... God, so many times where I'm just like, can you help me with it? No? Alright. Go freaking hide in the locker all game. Got it. Oh my goodness, man. Oh, I fell all the way down. But yeah, my next question was how many games have you worked on so far? Because I know you've worked on a few games even before Magnopus and stuff.
Well, before I went to Magnopus, I did I worked on a Metroidvania game that ended up not seeing the light of day. I worked on
just
a
like the
mobile...
real Metroid.
Yeah. It was really beautiful and cool, but we did the first prototype level, and then I think there was like a failed Kickstarter involved, and I don't really remember. It was a long time ago. And then I did like a mobile game that was based on the Osiris like intellectual property, like the Osiris what's it called? It's like a Mars survival game, Osiris New Dawn on Steam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I worked on that a little bit in the super early stages, and then worked on a mobile version of it that was just like a vehicle combat game. And then I don't know if you remember Dexterity Ball.
Yeah, I remember Dexterity Ball.
That marble game. That was fun to work on too. And then I kind of like messed around with a few prototypes and such on my own. Like at one point I really wanted to make a like Five Nights at Freddy's game, but in VR. But like with sci-fi stuff. So like instead of, you know, giant mannequins, it's like, you know, alien-esque monsters, you know, HR Geiger stuff. But I'm not a programmer, so like I think the farthest I got was I hooked together a few blueprints in Unreal and had like a tiny little prototype. But Sam actually did the art for most of that one, and that was cool too. And then just like random indie stuff, like just seeing what would stick, what wouldn't, until we kind of landed on this new horror one that I've been working on, and that's like we've gotten to the point now where it's like we feel as if the ideas are creating other ideas, you know, like you're sort of just riffing off of something versus like trying to get something to riff off of, which I think is a good, like we've gotten to a good point with it. So
wait, say that one more time.
So you reach a point in develop. I don't know. Maybe this might just be like my own anecdote with game development, but it's like you work on something, you have like a pitch, you know, you're having like a high level idea, and you don't really know if it's gonna work, and so you kind of like you experiment to find the fun, so to speak, and then after a certain point, you're like, okay, here is the fun. Now we can iterate around the fun and make it more fun. Like it's like you've reached a point where you have something that you feel you can work with, and it's easier to make ideas off of that because it's like you have a good like design foundation or methodology or whatever.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I just make sure I was understanding correctly.
Yeah, no problem.
Like sometimes I'll be playing the game and then I'll be like, yeah, I get it, and then I'll hear something and then my brain goes, are you sure? Like, are you sure you get it?
You can do both of this at the same time, especially with newer games. You play games that are like you've never played before, right? You're just
yeah.
yeah, that's pretty impressive. I don't know if I'd be able to do that.
I was trying to figure out. Like, yeah, I don't know if you saw earlier at the very beginning. I was like, I don't know what to do here, but I didn't want to say anything. I was just like, I'll just figure it out. We'll see. But yeah, everyone on stream is always telling me that I'm trying to speedrun everything because I always try to like just play through it really quickly. It's just like I just want to keep moving on. I don't want to be stuck on the same game for like a whole month.
Right. Yeah. Don't want to get stuck on a single combat section for a long period of time. Souls likes would probably not be a good game to stream for your format. Well, you've played them all, so you can get them much easier.
I'm about to say, I was like, I probably would. I did Bloodborne on the stream before, and
oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, I started Bloodborne recently for the first time. I got to the point where the masked guy with the bag, like, grabs you and throws you in the dungeon, and I haven't picked it up since because I like tried to escape a few times, hit a wall, and yeah. So eventually I want to go back to it because like the world is very interesting. But I think I prefer the little bit more slow, methodical approach that like Demon Souls had. I feel more like if I get in a pinch, I can defend yourself. Whereas like Bloodborne is very, if you mess up, you're pretty much dead. Like you can kind of you can sometimes wrap things around real quick, but like a big mistake, like mistakes are big and very costly in Bloodborne. Whereas like the other games are a little bit more forgiving because you can like, have a shield and roll. And I mean, you could, and that kind of stuff. And there's magic, and in Bloodborne, it's just you got a gun and a sword of some type.
Yeah, Bloodborne was just much more aggressive. You had to be more aggressive.
Yeah. And my first inclination whenever I go into a new boss fight is not like sprint directly at his feet and like hack at his legs. Like I'm not. That's not how I play those kinds of games. So it's a little bit of a like a brain switch for me.
Oh, I was like, this thing should weigh it down. I have to push it over here. I could jump up here. Yeah, I totally get that.
The old move a crate box or the old move a crate puzzle.
Oh, it's just like my brain didn't even put that like boulder that was separate from the background. Like my brain was just like, yeah, that's just part of the level. Oh man. But all right. I actually have a few people. Oh shoot. I have a few people on my stream that actually aspire to be game designers and just like just get into the field. You know that I used to be a substitute teacher and a bio teacher as well. Right now I'm just taking a break until I get all my stuff ready. Starting in the fall again. But I had a few students who wanted to see all this stuff, and they told me how they want to be game designers and everything. And so if you have any anything to recommend that they do, like to start now, like before they graduate from high school, or if they already graduated from high school, what should they start working on?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing I could say is just get your feet wet and don't care if you do things the wrong way. Like that is by far and away the biggest like thing you got to get over is like game development is such a dense topic from art to design to coding and everything. And if you don't try stuff, you're never going to see really what you're good at, or what you excel at and what you want to specialize in and stuff. And so like I would say just pick up the latest greatest whatever Unreal Engine or Unity that happens to be out there and just like follow some tutorials and see what parts that you enjoy. And I think if you go directly into trying to make your own thing, you might not know the right questions to ask in terms of like how do I program this, or how do I get this artifact that I want, like there's because it's such a dense topic and there's so many different specialties. There's a reason why these giant big like productions take hundreds of people to get something across the finish line. And how that translates to indie game development is just there's a lot of you got to wear a lot of hats. So if you want to go the indie route, you got to be willing to like mess with a lot of stuff that you might not be comfortable with, like because I'm in the indie scene, like I've been doing more rigging and animating and making characters move than I would normally do in like a professional setting. but it's like, well, there's really nobody else to do it, so I have to figure it out, you know. And that's sort of like the long and short of indie game development is like there's always going to be another weird challenge that you didn't think about or didn't foresee, and it's kind of like about rolling with the punches and seeing, you know, if you can make it better, or if you can't, like always reach out, you know. Like that's always been a big thing for mine is know when to ask help, you know, know when you're
Definitely.
stumped and kind of
Yes.
look at, because otherwise, you know, you kind of you can very easily get stuck in like I call it like a brain rut, you know. You're like you're fixating on a problem, and then you're like, I have to figure it out and it has to be me, and you kind of go back and forth in this cycle when really all it might take is just like, you know,
Taking a break.
yeah, taking a break, or like, you know, posting your problem on like, you know, the game developer subreddits or polycount or you know, wherever. Like
Mm-hmm.
the indie community is generally, I've found, pretty helpful, especially when it comes from developer to developer. So like even a simple question of just like, you know, I'm starting out and I don't know what to look into, like you could
Mm-hmm.
also ask those types of questions, you know. It's like about getting into the community and just like, you know, making more connections, and those connections will inspire you to work on your own stuff and, you know, help other people potentially once you get to a level that you can. um
They,
so
there's a book I read that it was called A Mind for Numbers by Barbara Oakley, and they actually
hmm
talk about this effect. I think that it was a German word, or they call it Einstellung, or
hmm
it's pretty much the idea that we tend to get stuck on something and we get a little stubborn about it, where we just think
hmm
that has to be it. That's the one that I need to work with. You know, there's no other way around it. And
hmm
it's that
hmm
whole idea of like the Gordian knot as well. You know, have you heard the Gordian knot?
mm
So it's like a story with about a Alexander the Great, where I guess he went to China, and they were talking about how like they have a knot that cannot be unraveled unless by like the only person that can unravel is a great man, you know, somebody who's powerful and stuff like that. And
hmm
they're waiting for that man to come, and Alexander the Great was just like, oh hell yeah, like, you know, that's gonna be me. And he shows up, he looks at the knot, and is just like, what? This is dumb. Like, this is impossible. And then
hmm
he was pissed off because he wants to be that great man. And so he pulls out his sword and just chops it in half. And they were just like, yeah, you got it. and so the whole point of it was just like, you have to think outside the box. Like, you have to look at it from a different point of view.
hmm
Uh, and, you know, it kind of goes with what you were saying. Like, you know, ask somebody for help, you know, like, or, you know,
hmm
go for a walk, take a break. You know, try to
hmm
get that original solution that you had that's not working anymore. It's not really a
hmm
solution if you really think about it, but
yeah.
get that out of your head and try doing something else. I've had plenty of times where I was working on board game ideas, and I just hit a wall, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do with this. This is like such an annoying problem. And
Yeah.
I'll take a break for like a month or something. I'll come back and I'm just be like, why didn't I see this? Like, I could easily
hmm
fix this problem just by doing this. Like, oh jeez.
Yeah, distancing yourself from your work is always a healthy exercise, you
Mm,
know. Like it was something that I found very useful early on too, like in the art critique process, you know. Like I remember in school and stuff, like when you first go through critiques for your art, it's brutal. You know,
oh
you have
yeah.
like you have the teacher kind of like tearing your stuff down in front of the class, and then they like open it up to the class, and then they tear it down even more, and you're just like, oh man, but I spent 40 hours on this and everybody thinks it's shit, you know. But like it's, I think the main goal behind that is just to get you to be able to separate yourself from the piece a little bit, and being
Yes.
able to kind of like, you know, like, you know, understand where the improvements need to be made and not be so like personally attached to it. And
Yeah.
some people, you know, some people struggle with that, and I totally get it. It's not an easy thing to do, you know.
The way I tend to usually is something I came up with this year, and I'm sure it's not going to connect with everybody, but to me it makes sense. I say that, like, you know, your expression, the words you say, the art you put out, any form of expression is a waste product. Okay, you have to be,
Waste
yeah,
product.
it's a waste product because you're expelling it, you're getting rid of it. You know, it's like something
hmm
that your body came up with, you know, mashed a bunch of ideas together and was just like, here you go. Like, just like when you eat food and stuff, you know, your body takes some of it, you know, mashes some of it out and then kicks some of it out of there, and you're just like, okay, you came up with something. But you kind of have to see it as like you're getting rid of something from yourself, you know.
hmm
And, you know, not
hmm
everybody's gonna appreciate you just like throwing out stuff everywhere,
Yeah.
and you have to be
hmm
okay with that, and just know that sometimes it's not the right place or time, but also, you know, find the right people who are gonna, like, you know, tell you like, hey, you probably shouldn't be, like, you know, doing it like that, you know. But like I said, at the end of the day, it is like a waste product, and you have to separate yourself from it. You know, move on to the next thing. You know, you don't. You know, every time you take a crap, you don't go back. I mean, some people do actually, but you don't turn around and be like, "Oh man, I'm gonna really miss that." You know, miss that.
Yeah, not quite.
No, nobody. Not a lot of people do that. You know, some people are a little proud of it. You know, they see it, they're like, "Oh, great, man, that was a really, you know, that was a doozy." But I pulled through and I got it out.
Yeah, and by extension, you know, knowing when to walk away from an idea altogether, you know, is also very hard because, you know, especially if you put in a ton of time into a project or a particular art piece and just like, you know, the foundations of this thing are too shaky to continue to move forward on, you know, whether it be like an art, you know, like a painting or a 3D scene or whatever. And knowing when to kind of like, okay, take the lessons learned into the next thing and start the new thing is also a really valuable skill to figure out, because otherwise you can spend, you know, a lot of time polishing a turd, as they say.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's not like the lessons that you learned are going to go away from working on that, but you hit like a diminishing returns where it's less like, you know, I can keep focusing on this, and yes, it will get better, but will it outshine if I were to start from scratch on a new project and apply all those lessons? Probably not. So, you know, sometimes it's good to like know when to cut the cord.
Yeah. So I apologize for my analogy, but just to me it made sense to me, and I was just like, yeah, like you really gotta distance yourself. And I do like that you say that. Like, there's something else you said that I really connect with too, where you said you have to kind of get used to the. Oh wait, Alexa, stop. How long has that been going on? Did you guys notice that sound?
I thought that was the game. So,
you know what? It's fine with me. I forgot I set an alarm and I like totally forgot about it. Cause I wasn't sure if I was gonna pass out or fall asleep or something, so I was like, I'll put it just in case.
Yeah.
What's the saying though? But yeah, just like getting used to that failure as well, you know, like in school they tend to teach us like not to mess up and stuff like that, and even our parents do that a lot to us, where they want us to get it right on the first try and stuff. And you kind of have to get past that, like.
Yeah, you're gonna make a ton of mistakes. Like, I've made a million mistakes as it pertains to game development, you know, and part of the problem is it's just like there's so many different ways to do the same thing, you know, and taking those, again, it's all about just taking those lessons learned into your next. It doesn't even have to be a new project, but just your next task, you know.
Yeah.
And being aware of that kind of stuff. It's very important. Very important skill. Mistakes are good. Mistakes are good. You learn from them.
Yeah. There was a thing they said that pretty much you from your mistakes and stuff, if you really there's a lot to it. I'm trying to like approach it from like 5 different ways, but I guess the first thing I would say is you have to have a balance of being a perfectionist but also being really laid back. Like, it's okay to be cool, you know, to observe those details, but then also learn to like chill out and just, you know, just go, you know, just keep working and then not be too hard on yourself, you know, just get work done. I just like me, like sometimes I'll start like writing a book and I'm like, oh, the calligraphy has to be perfect. I have to, you know, everything has to look neat. You know, tons of people are going to read this. It's like, no, you idiot. Tons of people are not going to read this. You're probably going to be the only one. So like, no, like just relax. You know, you're not presenting this to the world or anything. And if you are, you know what? Why are you doing that already? You should be like work on yourself a little bit first. But the other thing was like, okay, so balance those 2 worlds, you know, the detail and the big picture. You say, oh, it's right here. And then also, where was I going with that? I saw the keystone and my brain just went, you solved the puzzle.
Ooh, shiny.
No, it's like my brain was just like, oh, you solved the puzzle, like, you know, move on to the next thing. So my brain was just like, yeah, also move on to the next topic. But yeah, okay. So like big picture, little picture, you know, you balance that out. But also, when it comes to failure, I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to trigger the memory in my mind right now. What is it? When it comes to failure, you. Come on. I know I read this in a book somewhere and I'm like forgetting it. You know what? Luke, save me from this. I can't. I can't do this.
Well, I'm not in your brain. I don't know what you're going for.
Just play the piano. Let's go to the next scene.
The only other thing I was gonna add to the conversation is just sometimes it's more important to ship something and get something out there than it is to make sure it's perfect. You know, and I think that applies to a lot of different types of art, but you know, also just like creative projects in general. You need to know when to, like, it's valuable to get lost in the details because it can produce results, but you also need to keep an eye on, you know, the broader picture. And you know, if you're like I said, it's more important to build up a catalog of work than it is to have one perfect piece, in my opinion anyway. You know, you might get differing responses from different people, but I've found it better to, I mean, that's how I got my foot in the industry, to be honest. I did not focus on perfection. I focused on breadth of work and variety, and that was one of the reasons why I got hired at my first studio, was because I had tried a bunch of different tools. I had a kind of like a couple different styles of scenes in my portfolio, and you know, that was enough to be like, okay, well, you know, he can do a little bit of everything. There's obvious, like, you know, structural art problems with it, you know, not being like a good composition, or you know, like stuff that I kind of like didn't focus on as much as other stuff. But you know, I had a bunch of stuff to show, and employers took note of that, and you know, here I am, like six
I
years
remember
later.
what I was gonna say.
Okay, all right. I jogged the
Yeah,
memory.
you said something that really like made me remember. At the end of the day, like what I get from what you're trying to say is like you got to develop meta skills. That's the word for it. You have
Meta
to,
skills.
yeah.
I
So
like
like it's something that goes with you, okay? And
that.
this is kind of something I read today. I just finished reading a book called Decoding the World by Poe Branson and Arvind Gupta, and they go over like problems that the world's going through, you know, with COVID, with global warming, with AI, all this stuff. They bring up all these things.
All the hot button issues.
Yeah, and they just kind of talk about the science behind it, and like kind of like let people know, like, look, it's not that bad, but it kind of is. like there's reasons
It's
to
bad
be.
if you ignore it.
Yeah, it's bad if you ignore it, and it's bad if you just don't. You know, but it's not as bad if you understand the science behind it, because then you're kind of more aware, and then you can start being a part of the solution rather than just being like, oh my god, the world's ending, like, you know, like,
Yeah.
you know. But at the very end of the book, they talk about how a lot of people nowadays feel like they don't have a sense of self or purpose, and and you know, a lot of scientists too, especially, or you know, big people up in the big top
Big
are
brain
trying to
folk.
like they're trying to pretty much identify the soul. What is the soul? You know, like even people in the religious sense are trying to find out, like, what is the soul? What makes us who we are? And at the very end of this last chapter, he tells the whole thing as a story. Like these two millennials feel like they have no like soul. They're like, what's wrong with me? Why am I so like not motivated to do anything? And they see an advertisement about a test to, you know, like a science experiment where they can, you know, be tested and see if they can find their human soul. And so they're like, you know, like, you know, what are they gonna do? Give us drugs? It's probably psychedelics, whatever, you know. And they go, and no, it turns out it's like this huge experiment. They get like put to sleep, and they start getting like surgically, you know, like removed pieces and stuff like that. And like, it sounds awful, but I guess that what the metaphor they're trying to say is that we kind of do that to ourselves. We pick ourselves apart trying to figure out who we are, and then we still feel like we don't know who we are because we're constantly trying to approve ourselves for people around us and everything. Like, oh, well, maybe I need to be like this, or maybe I need to be like that. Well, I'm not good enough for this, you know, things like that. And at the very end of the story, like they go through all this, like, you know, the science things, like, you know, they have a press conference. They're like, oh, we still can't find their souls. I don't know what's going on. It's like, maybe these are, you know, these are children that just really don't have souls. Like, you know, this is the new generation. And it sounded awful. Like, it reminded me of another book I just finished reading, which is The Laws of Human Nature by, and I think I've told you about it, by Robert Greene. And one of the last chapters, he talks about the law of generational myopia, where he says how we kind of repeat this process where the previous generation doesn't understand the next generation or the previous generation. You know, like we just keep saying like, oh, what's with this new generation?
Throw your hands up. I don't get it.
Yeah, like, I don't get it. It's like you are not
Mhm.
trying. That's why. Like
Yeah.
you're not really trying. You're just
Yeah.
mad that it's not the same as it always has been.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
and I think that's the beauty of the internet, right? That's we're able to see everybody's perspectives all at once, regardless of if you want to or not. So
yeah,
it's either get used to that or don't participate. You know, like it's hard, but it's important to try and understand rather than jump to a conclusion, I think.
yeah, and even if you like reading a lot of books, you see like people are going through the same stuff they've always been going through.
Oh yeah,
It's just that, you know, okay, the fashion changed, oh, the music changed, you know, like all this art
Mhm.
stuff changed, the expression changed. But deep
Mhm.
down, like, you know, and I guess you could say spiritually as a character,
Mhm.
we haven't really changed much. Like,
Mhm.
like people have
Yeah.
been doing the same stuff for a long time.
Mhm.
And so at the
We're just
very,
dealing with different problems,
yeah,
but kind of dealing with it in a similar way.
it's a different stage, but a lot of the character archetypes are kind of the same.
Yes, yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a reason why, like, with popular fiction and media, going past generations and generations, like it's recurring. There's a lot of recurring elements, and it's
Yeah.
because it keeps working because we're all very similar.
Yeah.
We just have different things going on in our different time periods that push us to different extremes.
Yeah. But the very end of that book, I just wanted to say, like, was like it made me cry honestly because it just like made me think of like how amazing, like, if we really look into ourselves, like, okay, let me just say it because I'm like butchering this. So at the very end, like these two millennials are just like in like complete like head to toe like casts, like they're just
Okay.
like
And
that.
is this fiction or nonfiction, by the way?
The book is like a mixture of both because they talk about
Okay.
real life problems, but the very last chapter they kind of like telling you a story.
Okay.
There was one where he was trying to do like a thing of like on AI, but he was like
Mhm.
doing a fictional interview or fictional interview with Tony Stark on like about like what he thinks about AI and things like that.
Mhm.
But yeah, at the very this last chapter, he like, you know, the kids are in their little cast and everything, and the nurse comes into their room and they've like hatched out of their casts, like they were like cocoons, and now they've
What?
become like like they've become these like half butterfly, half like human beings, and like one of them starts flying out of the room, and then the nurse is just like, what the hell is going on right now? And she goes like, they told me you never found your soul, and he goes, tell them something. Tell them that my soul isn't in my wings. It's in the destination that I'm going towards. And I just like that like hit me. I was just like,
Mhm.
yeah, because you know we're constantly changing. It's not
Mhm.
about who we are right now as a person.
Mhm.
It's about all the things we're gonna be going through.
Mhm.
You know, and
It's more about the journey than the destination, right?
yeah. And
Yeah.
I know somebody's argued. There's somebody who argued about that. It's like, oh, you know, it's not about the journey as well, but they said something about like it's also about what direction you're going with that journey as well, you know. And I do agree with that because they actually had a chapter before that as well talking about your purpose in life, and I think that is very important because if you don't have a
Mhm.
purpose in life, then yeah, you're kind of just aimlessly wandering around, and it's not really good
Mhm.
either.
Mhm.
But it's like take it for your case, like, you know, doing, I've been here already, deja vu, I went in circles. In your case, like, you know, doing the game design and everything, like what inspired you to
Mhm.
do this? Actually, this was one of my questions, so I'm glad it kind of full circle
Oh
there.
boy. Oh boy. I don't know. Like I've always played games as a kid, and I've always found them to be, really sort of like a transcendent experience.
Mhm.
And I think people have this response to a lot of different types of medias. Like people have this experience reading books, and reading a bunch of books becomes their thing. Movies, people have transcendent experiences with movies, and it
Oh,
like broadens their horizons, and then that inspires them to work on movies and stuff. So, um, I'm not, like, so I feel like, along the same vein was me for games. And then I loved sharing games with people who weren't necessarily like gaming was their forte. Like,
mm.
I love sort of like I remember playing games a lot with my dad growing up, where he clearly, he wasn't interested in playing it, and playing it only got him frustrated. But
Mm.
he would enjoy the game with me to the extent that he could from not playing it. Um, and we were able to bond over that a little bit, because it's like now I can talk to him about new stuff coming out and be like, oh yeah, it's like it's extension of that game we played together when I was a kid, and so like part of me wants to foster that, I guess, a little bit. Like I want to create games that connect people, and I think that's why we ended up with like a multiplayer game. Is
Definitely.
like we want to create something that brings people together as much as possible, and I think that pop culture in general has a really it's the easy in, you know what I mean? Like you can just ask people like what shows they've been interested in, and they'll talk about it, and then you can kind of glean something from them about what they're into, and the types of media that they respond to, and then you can kind of build a relationship from there. So it's like pop culture, while it can be is and can be very surface level, like it also is kind of like a gateway into like you know people's deeper preferences and
Yeah.
ideologies and stuff. And I don't know, I just find that really fascinating, and I guess that's kind of like a long-winded explanation, but just like
No, that's perfect.
I enjoyed it a lot as a kid, and then I am fascinated by the process in general
Hmm.
because I've always been a pretty technical guy, and I just find all the software and everything very interesting. Like I'll go into pieces of software and just like go through all the menus and try and figure out what everything does. And like that, evidently that's perfect for a tech artist position, but I didn't set out to become a tech artist necessarily, but it's just like
That's how it works. That's how
it's
it happens.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know. It's been cool. It's been really cool seeing how your work can impact other people. And that's something that I
Hmm.
didn't expect going into it, but I had like tastes of, you know, like especially on Coco VR when I got done with that project at Magnopus. Um I brought a bunch of work laptops with me, like VR work laptops, to Thanksgiving, and I showed it to my family, and a lot of times it was like their first experience with VR. And like one of my aunts texted me like a day or two after, and she's like, I can't stop thinking about that. That was so amazing. Like I had given somebody like this kind of amazing experience, and of course it was a big collaboration between a ton of people, and I'm not going to take credit for all that hard work that everybody did, but because I had a small staple in this, I was able to make it personal because they knew somebody who had worked on it. And
Hmm.
I was able to bring that experience to somebody, and it like broadened their horizons, I'd like to think. So it's like it's cool. It's amazing. That's what's amazing about art, is it's like that's what it can do. It can broaden people's horizons and break down barriers, and it's
Help
it's
them see
it's a
another
useful
world
thing.
that they didn't even think was
Yeah, yeah,
possible.
exactly. That's like a looking at when there's a YouTube channel I watch that talks about nostalgia and stuff, and he was talking about how certain movies, like when you went to go see it as a kid, felt like they changed your life,
Hmm.
and it's just like, well, they kind of did, because they exposed you to new ideas, new emotions that you didn't think you'd have, or
Yeah.
responses that you didn't think you'd have, and they challenge your existing uh mental state, and it, like you said, it broadens your horizon, and that's really valuable. And I think they're, you know games, movies, TV, books and stuff, that they're really good at that. And I think that it's definitely something you want to keep doing as long as you exist, basically. It's just
Yeah.
just keep putting new wrinkles in your brain. That's the goal.
God. Yeah. That is so interesting too. I lately it's just been really something I've been interested in doing. When I meet random people, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would probably get really awkward when asked this, but I always be like, hey, like what is something like really big you want to do with your life? Like, what is your like main goal, I guess, in a sense? Like what is something that
Mm-hmm.
you will make you happy? Like I asked a random employee at one of my job, and he was just like, oh, like at first he was trying to tell me that he's just like, I'm just gonna be like a working in a warehouse and everything. And I was like, really? That's what you want to do? And he's like, no, not really. But at this point, like like, kind
Mm-hmm.
of that self defeated. And I'm just like, dude, like, nah. Like, what do you want to do? Like, what is something that's gonna make you happy? And he said, like, oh, like I growing up, I used to always see my dad cook,
Mm-hmm.
and that used just to make me feel with joy. And I was just like, well, why don't you do that? And he's just like, it's just I tried it and I didn't really like the experience because they
Mm-hmm.
he said the class was not good and everything, and I was like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
well, that was one experience, but you still have your own experience. I mean, do you cook at home? Do you cook every day? And he's like, no, not really anymore. And I was just like, dude, start cooking. Like, you know, get back into that. Like, it's something you enjoy. Like, you'll probably find something, you know, you'll start leading into things, you know. You just can't quit. You got to keep it up. You know, maybe sometimes you got to take a couple steps back. That's something I've realized. Sometimes you got to take a couple steps back. Even with psychology, like, there's so many times where I've broken down my own mind because I'm like, I thought I had it. I thought I got it. Like, oh yeah, you know,
got to the bottom of it and you realized, oh no.
Yeah, like actually in that same book that I was telling you earlier, they actually talked about it in one of the previous chapters. They said that like people always think they've come across the key to life, the key to like what, you know, everything means and stuff like that. And he says that it turns your life into the forest of resemblance or something like that, forest of something. But pretty much, you know, that analogy where they say that like you're so busy you're so busy. I think I forgot how it goes, but it's like you're so busy looking at one tree, whatever, you don't see the forest or whatever, or vice versa. I forget which way it goes, but pretty much like you activate this part of your brain, and it takes over like the whole concept of your mind. But there's a part of your brain called the reticular activator system. And it's pretty much the thing that says, you know, like when people say, don't think of pink elephants, like it's just like, ah,
I can't stop it.
Yeah, or if they say like, you know, like look for the color red, where does your eyes go immediately?
Right.
You know, like your brain will focus on it, or like hyper focus on that one thing. And we tend to do this to ourselves without even thinking. You know, we read about something, we, you know, learn something new, and we'll just be like, oh, you know, this is totally it. Like, you know, like it's everywhere now. Like, I think they call it the frequency illusion, where we tend to like think that, you know, something that repeats over and over again is, you know, has a deeper meaning than it really does. But at the end of the day, like we tend to like connect a concept that really like means a lot to us, and we just go like, oh, you know, like I see it in everything, it's everywhere, and we think that's just the meaning of life. And they call it the forest of resemblance, because pretty much, even though all these trees are unique and their own thing, we start seeing everything as just one giant forest of the same tree. Like every tree's the same.
Well, our brain is sort of programmed to find patterns, and sometimes that pattern recognition can have, you know,
a maladaptive
ramifications. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, kind of jumping off of the thing with your employee friend who, you know, who wanted to be a cook, tried it and it didn't work out in that one experience. You know, it's like I got into the industry thinking I was going to be like, you know, an environment artist or like an art director, you know, and like that was the goal that I thought I wanted to go into. And, you know, I think a couple of years ago I started to realize like, oh, well, I actually tend to get a lot of fulfillment. I get more fulfillment out of helping people achieve that than I do actually doing it myself. And sometimes it actually, you know, caused me frustration. Like, oh, I'm so far behind. I need to take like art direction classes and, you know, yada, yada, yada. And it's just like, I took a step back and really realized like, oh, like I get fulfillment out of something I didn't expect. That doesn't make it bad. It's just like, oh, I discovered something about myself and now my goals have changed a little bit. And that's like, you know, that's a healthy process to go through, you know, like maybe with the person you're talking to, it's like, okay, the one class didn't work. Does that mean that teacher maybe didn't teach it in a way that he would respond to? Does that mean that like maybe he's less interested about cooking as like personally cooking, and would be better like in the, you know, management side of things? You know, who knows? Like there's just because like one little avenue of a field is not what you expect does not mean that like, you know, you need to shut the door for the entire thing.
Yeah, like you gotta do some questioning. And you know, sometimes it might just be you, like you might be the issue, but it doesn't mean like to quit. Like just be like, okay, what can I do different?
Right.
You know, I feel like a lot of people tend to when they're the problem, they just tend to give up. But it's just like, no, it's okay being the problem sometimes. It just, you know, makes you realize what you need to do next. Right. There's actually a part of the brain that helps you with that, the default mode network. That's what literally tells you like, okay, this didn't work out and we're kind of the problem, but that's okay. We'll just gotta figure out what we gotta do to fit into that.
Next time I have an emotional response to Michael, I'm just gonna be like, okay, I need to talk to Michael to figure out what part of my brain is
I know. Right now I'm reading a book on like emotions and stuff too, and like it's just crazy. Like they call it the classical view, where we think we have an idea of like how it works and everything, like ancient
Mm-hmm.
philosophers,
Mm-hmm.
scientists, Charles Darwin himself. They were all like, oh yeah, we totally get emotions. And like
Mm-hmm.
this book I'm reading now, they're just like, yeah, no, we don't. We have no idea what the heck it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're like finding all these parts of the brain that do specific things, but even then it's even much more complicated than that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, they trigger certain commands, I guess, in our brain to go through, but even that's much more complicated. Like, there's so many things that can cause that,
Mm-hmm.
reaction to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just don't beat yourself up just because you didn't, and we talked about this earlier. Just, you don't want to give up after one failure.
Yeah.
You have to develop those meta skills.
Mm-hmm.
I never, like, I went to school with Luke in the Art Institute, and like, I wanted to be an animator and stuff like that, but not because that's what made me happy and stuff like that. It was because in high school they told me, oh, like, you draw comic books, you should get into that. And I'm just like, oh, okay, I guess.
Yeah, isn't it amazing how like just a single interaction at a young age can be like set in stone something you want to do? It's like an innocuous comment like that, it isn't
Yeah.
necessarily related, and therefore you like put a whole like basically built a complex around it. It's crazy. It's so crazy how that can, especially when you're young and easily impacted like that, how much it can change your goals and outlooks and stuff. And
yeah, like,
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
no,
but-
I'm just thinking about that, because honestly that does bother me. Like, that pretty much, like, I enjoy the art, the people I met in the Art Institute and everything, but it just does make me worry that there's so many people out there that are going towards a direction that they're not even sure they like, just because somebody was just like, oh, I saw you do this thing one time, and I think that's what you really want to do. And it's
right.
like, when I look back at my childhood, I realized what made me happy all the time was talking about life. Like, literally just talking about, like, hey, how does our brain work? What does this do? Like, that's what made me happy. It wasn't drawing, it wasn't making games and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I enjoyed that, but it was more of a hobby, not really like a calling.
Right.
And so when I got into teaching, like, I realized just like, sitting down, like talking with the kids about, how something works and stuff like that, like that made me happy. Or even just being on stream and talking about stuff like this, like, that makes me feel good, And so like, I look back at my childhood and I was just like, no, that makes sense. Like, this is what I want to do. Like, the comic book stuff was just there to fill time. I was bored in class and I just wanted to do something, so I doodled. And then people said, oh yeah, you draw, go to art school. Like, like, no. And then my self-esteem was destroyed because of that, because I was just like, well, I was told I need to do this thing. I went to school for that.
Yeah.
And everyone says I suck at it. So obviously the one thing that I was told to go to school for is also a problem. Like, so what am I doing with my life then? I guess I'm just a loser. Like, that's pretty much like all that was going through my head, is like, I guess I'm just a loser. Like, the thing I'm going to school for doesn't even, I remember the first class I was in, like, the guy literally took my drawings and was just like, yeah, this is like complete shit. Like, I don't even know why you're in this school or something. It's just like, oh my god.
Dude, I felt that so hardcore my first semester, because like I have always been more of a technology guy and less of like a traditional art kind of thing, and all the initial first classes are traditional art. And oh my god, my self-esteem took like the biggest hit the first year at Art Institute, because it was like all these people who really loved drawing and wanted to get, into either game development or animation, building upon that already. And like, I remember feeling like I was doing like, a second grade level drawing, like a kid drawing, compared to like some of these people who are like, already doing like, proportionally correct shading and doing all these advanced techniques. I'm just like, I would not put this on my fridge, and I need to get an A in this class. So that was really hard, but I think it was a valuable experience, the emotional blows aside, like, because it taught me about what I wanted to specialize in, and it taught me to be okay at being bad at something, which I think is another valuable thing to develop a skill for, a meta skill, like you've been saying.
Yeah. Definitely. And then, yeah, that's why I say too, like I'm kind of glad I still went through that, even though it was awful. And you know,
Right, right.
I'd never want to go through that again.
Mm-hmm.
It helped me kind of see where the direction I really wanted to go in.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an arena or what? I'm gonna fight a bunch of them. Oh. Sorry, I see that people are in chat saying something. Hey, more Zaram, what's up? Told me back in the day, thought I liked film. Turns out it was leading people to do meaningful things. Yeah, like, dude, like, sometimes we think it's one thing and it's another, and it's just, it's crazy. Like, I don't know, like, that's kind of why, like, I don't know, I wouldn't mind being a counselor either, like, just trying to,
You
like,
would make
help.
a great counselor, honestly.
Like, a counselor, life coach, something. I just want to, like,
Yeah, you could do
I don't
it.
want people to
You could do
go
it.
through what I went through, you know, like, where I'm just like, oh, I don't know
Yeah.
what to, you know.
Mm-hmm. And that's really the goal, right? You want the next, you know, group of people, either you know, a new generation or you know, a next group of like people getting into the industry. You want it to be easier for them, you know, like still work hard, obviously, but like there's no reason, like we have so many barriers for entry, I think, and across multiple industries, and I wish it was easier to get into. And I feel like it's getting a little bit easier now with, like, you know, all the tools and at least as it pertains to game development, like all the tools and stuff are mostly free and you can kind of just like get your feet wet really easily. But you know, it's you want to make it, you want bottom line, you just want to make it easier for the next group of people, and that's something that I try and focus on a lot with, like, you know, being really open about the development process and how like how hard it can be. And you know, like I think it's important to be realistic and open about it versus, like, you know, oh well, like when I got into the industry, so much focus was put on networking and finding the right connections at, like, you know, the game developers conference and stuff like that. And it's like, to me, that always felt like really hollow. Like, yes, you do meet people and you do, you know, potentially get connections and stuff, but it's like you're part of like a car salesman churn a little bit. You know what I mean? It's like you have to walk the walk and talk the talk to get into a place where you want to be, versus just like learning organically and contributing to the process and making your name that way. Like there's, you know, and film has similar kind of gateways and stuff like that. And I hope, as it seems like with the millennial generation and then Zoomers in particular, like they're really like doubling down on ease of access to information and, you know, making things easier to understand. And just because it's been taught a certain way for decades does not mean that that's the best way to do it. You know, I think that that's all good societal progress in a nutshell.
We have more people in the chat. Agree
I do
to
want to
be a
become
good
famous.
right? I was just like, I'm gonna ignore that. Agree to be a good counselor is Chris King. Oh, hey, what's up, Chris? How's it going, man? Well, look who's inside again. Yep, I'm always inside. Wait, what are we talking about? No, I totally agree with that, though. It's just, I had something, but then that freaking arena just kind of, I gave up on it, by the way. It just kept going, and I was like, I can't focus on this. God, I had something, and I'm like, lost it. But if it comes back, comes back. All right, let's move on. We've actually only gotten halfway through the questions. Just that we just.
Oh
had
my god!
No, dude, like we just kept going. Like we were just, you know, that's how it works. This is great. I was gonna ask. I'm sure you actually mentioned it already, but if you haven't, you know, feel free to answer this question. What is your favorite thing about, you know, your you said it was a tech design or something like that you do? Technical artist?
Yeah, technical artist, yeah.
Yeah. Like, what is your favorite thing to do in that field?
I think my favorite thing is just the amount of people that I talk to and get to talk to as part of my job. You know, like you know, obviously helping artists make art is like the main thing, but you know, I end up talking a lot to, you know, producers and production and kind of like, you know, learning what best makes them, you know, makes things easier for them and, you know, different things that they're looking for. And because, you know, a lot of times, like, I run into a problem and I'm like, okay, well, I need time and resources to solve this problem. And I need to communicate that to a producer to make them understand the importance of this problem. So I end up working a lot with, the more businessy types in the industry to kind of like, have that conversation be effective. And on the flip side too, like I've worked with a lot of, engineers and programmers and stuff. And because a lot of times solutions to difficult problems in the art in game development and in art development and everything requires someone who can code and make the process easier. You're doing the same thing over and over again, but really it's a simple script can make that automated for you. And then instead
Yeah.
of like you know spending tons of time like pressing the same sequence of buttons over and over again because that's just the only way you know how to do it, some magical programmer descends from the sky and gives you a single button to press, and then now your life is so much better. Like so it's like just being able to talk to all these different people has really given me an appreciation for how complex game development and by extension some of the VR AR stuff that I've been doing at Magnopus, like it's so complicated. And I just love the collaboration that ends up happening because of that. And what's interesting is you'll often get like critiques or new ideas generated from bringing a piece of art to a programmer to optimize or whatever. Like they'll have a suggestion and it'll be like a really good suggestion, and generally we kind of think in terms of like black and white in the sense of like, only the artists do art, only the engineers do code. But I've actually experienced kind of the opposite in my career. It's like yes, your primary responsibility is to do art, and the engineer's primary responsibility is to make the game work and have code and stuff. But like everybody's got ideas to make the product they're working on better, and it's cool to see that come from multiple avenues, especially in places that you wouldn't expect. Like one of the closest programmers that I got to know over the course of my time at Magnopus, his name is Zoe, and he's like actually a really fantastic painter. But he's just, he I know him in the sense of he's been the lead engineer on all the projects that I've worked on. But then you talk to him and they have like, they have a decent art brain developed, and that influences, how they work with artists. And I find that really interesting, and so there's a lot of that, like I get exposed to a lot of cross-pollination of disciplines. And I think that just kind of, when you have that happening and everybody feels open to contribute to the overall design or idea, I think the product always comes out for the better, especially, provided ego's not involved, like if people are giving ideas freely and openly versus like, trying to upend the entire project because they think that they can do things better or whatever.
They're
like,
all grandiose and stuff.
There's a balance to be maintained, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, for sure. And listening to you, I've noticed a pattern that you want to
recognize the pattern.
Tell me if I'm wrong though, but like just like even when you were describing how like in the beginning what got you into this whole thing was just the bond with your dad and playing games with him and stuff, and like seeing that he was frustrated with certain things and just trying to make that easier, and then like communicating with his people, showing people that this can be fun even though it's a little complicated, and here let me show you how it can be a little bit more simpler. And I think like I don't know if I'm wrong here or like, but is that kind of like what just gives you the most joy, is just like being able to communicate with people that like, hey, things aren't that hard, like let's figure out a solution together, and and enjoy ourselves in a sense.
Yeah, for sure. I love it's a lot of fun in my field when I go to somebody who's struggling with a problem. I mean, it's not fun going to them when they're struggling, but it's fun when we start talking and I start like talking about some solutions that might help. You see like a light bulb go off and you're like, oh, you're right, we can do things this way. I didn't I was heads down and I wouldn't really think about it in that way. Or it's like I go around sprinkling like tech art dust on people. Like it's like they'll be struggling with something, and especially artists in general, people get close to their work and they sit and they spin on it a lot, and sometimes get kind of like the horse blinders on sometimes. And all it takes is like a simple conversation to sort of get that unblocked. And you may not have the solution yourself, but maybe you can go and find the solution for them. And I don't know, that is so rewarding to me, because again, it's just like, okay, I've created now a situation where or I've helped create a situation rather where, the creative juices can continue flowing. And, at the end of the day, that's kind of like the goal for all game development and art creation in general, and I think you're right. I think I do enjoy making things simpler, like I remember back when we were in board game club, these board game manuals are not the easiest thing to
Yeah.
understand. And so one of the things I noticed that I would do is I would, take the board game manuals and, teach it that way a few times. And then I would like make my own type of variation, which I'm sure you do too. Like you've played a game enough times, you don't need
Yeah.
the manual to teach it anymore. And in actuality, you probably can teach it better than the manual can, because you're, instead of like going through the entire dissertation of why the game is played the way it is, you just kind of like spoon feed them as you go along,
Yeah.
and that is way better than like, okay, everybody, let's read the manual and go through it and be bored by the time we're done with the manual and then not want to play the game anymore.
Yeah,
So
it was like that one game that we played was a Splendor when I brought it over to your place.
yeah.
Like that 3-2-1 thing is not in the manual at all. I just use that as like a way for people to memorize. Like I have 3 moves I can do. 3-2-1.
Right.
I can do this, this, or this, and it just makes it more simpler. You don't have to be like, oh, you can only do this when this, and you can only do this when this. It's just mnemonics. Mnemonics are very important.
But yes, I think you're spot on with your pattern recognition.
What the hell's?
And a giant turtle.
I noticed there's a lot of Hollow Knight influences in this game, in the second version of this game.
I have not played Hollow Knight.
You haven't played Hollow Knight? Are you a gamer?
Don't cut me off. Don't cut me off from the stream. I'm sorry.
He's not a real gamer, guys. We gotta get him out of here. Nah, it took me a while to play Hollow Knight as well. People were always telling me, play Hollow Knight, play Hollow Knight. That was a good game though. I enjoyed it a lot. I didn't play all of it though. Like usually those kind of games I'll play through everything. Like, it was like Dark Souls game, like those Souls-like games. But I just, not that I didn't enjoy it. It's just, I guess I felt like I was playing it for so long and I was playing it on stream and everything too. I was like, I'm just gonna move on to the next thing.
Well, who's got time to finish games anymore?
Honestly, like I only play games usually for the stream now. Like besides that, I'm usually trying to work on projects and stuff like that, or taking care of myself.
I try to use games as a way to like decompress a lot of times, just kind of like get lost in something and shut your, I mean, you're still using your brain, but like shut your brain off from the rest of the problems that you got to deal with and kind of like isolate yourself. I've found that to be fairly therapeutic for myself.
I can't do that anymore. Like that used to be my thing too, but like now it's just, I guess because before when I would sit down playing a video game, I'd always have this anxiety like that I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
And so like now, I guess that's why I enjoy the stream, because I get to play the video games that like I actually do enjoy playing, but I feel like I'm doing something because I'm chatting with people, we're exploring ideas, understanding things.
You're building your brand, your social media presence, your influencer status.
Hell yeah. But yeah, like, and people tell me like, oh, you don't play video games just to enjoy it anymore. I was like, no, I'm enjoying it. It's just in a different way.
Yeah.
I'm a big attention whore, so I gotta be on the center stage. So
always gotta take up the spotlight.
Yeah. That was something I was talking about like a couple streams ago, where like I said, I just finished reading that Laws of Human Nature book, and the second law is the law of narcissism, and pretty much the fact that everybody is narcissistic to a point. It's just some people are more than others.
Right.
And they have like 3 different levels. Like deep narcissism is like the true, like, holy crap, they'll destroy lives over their freaking attention. And then there's functional narcissism, which is like the everyday kind of people where you see them make a lot of selfish decisions, and they're in it for themselves, but they're not necessarily harming anybody. It's just kind of like, all right, whatever, you jerk. And then there's like healthy narcissism, where like you're there for other people, and you care about people and stuff like that, but you can never escape it. There's always a hint of narcissism. I mean, and I think that's why, sorry to get into this, but I think that's why religion is so important to a lot of people, because it gives them something to work towards for themselves while also helping other people.
Mhm.
Because if you told people like, yeah, you're gonna go to hell no matter what, and like you told them like but still, you know, go do nice things, they'll be like,
Mhm.
the hell I will, like that's so it's like just gives them that incentive a lot of the times.
Mhm.
But yeah, like after I read that, I was like, you know, it's totally true. Like when I look back at my past, like yeah, I did a lot of things for attention, but
Mhm.
like understanding that now, like I can kind of say it with some pride, and then also know not to let it get out of hand or anything like that.
Right. Keep it in
Like
check.
yeah, like you know,
Mhm.
anytime I'm just like upset about something, I was like, hey, why are we upset? It's like, well, people are not paying attention to me. It's like, all right, you fucking narcissist, just shut up, go do your thing. You know that's not important. It's like, oh, okay. Just that kind of stuff. It's just like it's good to be aware of it and good to because I've told people that I was like, oh yeah, everyone's a little bit narcissistic. They're like, not
Mhm.
me. I'm totally, you know, like, you know, this. It's just like
Mhm.
you just doing that right now proves my point because you're just trying to
Yeah.
prove to me that you're a good person, which makes
Mhm.
you feel better, which is kind of narcissistic, but which is okay. Like, you know, like you want to feel good about yourself. You know, that's very
Mhm.
important. But like, don't be in denial. But like I noticed that too. I actually took your recommendation. I've been binge watching freaking Queer Eye. Holy
Oh,
moly, dude! Like
dude, isn't
I
it
enjoyed
great?
that. Yes.
It's like a lesson in
Oh.
therapy every single episode. There's like, oh, this person has this, hardcore mental block about something, and here's how they get around it. They are
Oh
masters of
yeah.
exposure therapy, honestly. Like, yeah, I'm glad you're binging it because that was a great show for us to do. Me and my wife watched it over the course of the pandemic, and it was very uplifting and very insightful for sure.
I can't get up here for some reason.
Have you tried harder?
Yes, I just
Oh
needed to
yeah,
try
see.
harder. Oh, but yeah, like oh my god, like I was watching it actually before I got on here too.
Hmm.
And I love all five of them are amazing people. It's just
Yeah, they all have,
oh
really good specialties, and like, they like it's weird how when I started the show, I felt like some were less important in terms of like the mental breakthrough process, but
mm-hmm.
they all end up, kind of exposing all, the behaviors that they're struggling with in other areas. And I think,
Hilarious.
so they kind of like do the full gamut of like, you know, culture and life and
Yeah.
personality, and so
Well,
yeah,
because
it's a
everyone
good.
has experience with that, and they can all
Yeah.
share that experience with people.
Hmm.
But I mean, Karamo just knows how to do it and take it to the next level. You know,
Oh
like,
yeah, yeah. He I want him to be my therapist.
honestly, like, I've always had the idea of like we need to give kids a break from school.
Hmm.
You know, like you have elementary, you have these 6 years where you're just stuck in a classroom doing stuff. Like middle school should be the time where we go out and explore the world, and of course, you know, chaperones and
Hmm.
everything. But like, let people go figure out what they want to do with their lives. You know,
Hmm.
and then when they come
Yeah,
back to,
there's
oh, go ahead, sorry.
there's not enough attention paid to like fostering goals and
Mm-hmm.
creativity in school. It's like you're given just like a ton of things to learn, and yeah, it's some of it might be valuable, some of it might be not, and it's good to get, kind of like a good broad understanding of things. But at some point, I think it needs to transition from that to more career oriented stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
And
I think historically
exploration.
that's what college was supposed to be, but it comes kind of late in the cycle, in my opinion. And
And they
it
still
could
kind
be
of
like,
shove you in a room and everything.
yeah, and they still kind of shove you in a room, and you're going over kind of the same stuff that you did in high school and middle school and elementary school. And I don't know,
Mm,
it's could be better. It's a
yeah.
CBB.
And that's why I like Harama's approach, because it's just like we need that. We need kids to go
Mm-hmm.
out there and like explore stuff, explore themselves. You
Mm-hmm.
know, do activities, rock climb. You know, physical activities, do mental activities, all types of stuff. And, you know, have more. I mean, that's why people love electives so much in like high school and stuff, and middle
Yeah,
school.
yeah.
And then
Gives you a
they
nice
take them
change of
out.
pace. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they start taking those out, and it's just like, what do you want? You know, we're not working in
Mm-hmm.
factories anymore, dude. Like,
Yeah.
you can't keep this up. So
Yeah.
like I propose that we need to figure out some sort of system where we can give kids that ability to go out there and explore the world, and because and that's a huge thing too. Like a lot of people go into the 30s and 40s and never left the U.S. or anything, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
like, or never even left their own hometown,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
Mm-hmm.
just like they have such like I'm gonna use the literal word. They become a literal idiot. Idios is the literal meaning is like you're in your own little world. That's what an idiom is. An idiom is just like something that only a certain group of people are gonna understand, or yourself. So like people literally become idiots. I was an idiot for a long time because I just didn't go out and understand things. But as I talked to more and more people and they kind of explain things to me, I was just like, I'm freaking dumb. I didn't know all this. Like now people are opening all this up to me. And that's kind of like my mindset now, is just to be more open to things now. Like even with the Queer Eye, like I was watching it and like, one of my family members is like, why do you like this show? Like, it's like, you're not gay. There's a bunch of gay guys. I was like, that's not the point. Like it's just the information you get from the psychology. And also these guys are freaking awesome. I love their energy. Like, yes, girl, I'll do that all day. Like, let's go. I don't care about being, like you don't, that was another thing I learned too, is not to be afraid of your femininity as well. Like, like I know at the end of the day, I'm a freaking dude that loves girls and stuff like that. Like the sexuality and everything is not my problem. So I can like act feminine all day, but it's still at the end of the day, I know who I am.
Right. And well, it's confidence in who you are and what you are, and just because you go outside of your box occasionally doesn't like invalidate everything. It's really silly. Oh yeah.
It's and they actually talk about that in the book, the laws one, where they say that like people need to stop being stop the gender rigidity. Ooh. I'm actually completely lost now. I have no idea where I'm going. Because they like told me that I need to go over here.
Well, you seem to be at the exact opposite of...
Yeah, well, because I went all the way over here. I didn't... Oh, wait. I gotta go there. Alright. Oh my god, can you not?
So you got a sword and you got like a hammer now?
Yeah. They like cool. Really went weapon, like, cause on the first game it was just like you had a little orb and you just sent it after people. This one you're like a full-on weapon master. Oh yeah, I'm enjoying the show a lot.
Well,
Anthony,
what was your favorite episode so far?
Ooh.
They're all good, so
I'm trying to think, cause like a lot of them do different things for me. Like when I see people like getting married and like, or the kids and stuff like that, I'm like, oh, I can't wait. I'm gonna be the best I can be. It inspired me. I'm gonna be a good daddy.
But yeah, Anthony's one of my favorites too.
Yeah, Anthony, just like watching him do all this stuff, I was just like, I'm gonna go freaking cook.
Yeah.
And I've been just cooking up a storm now. Like, it just inspired me a lot. And then like with Tan, I've always kind of been into my fashion ever since one of my friends, like, I remember one day he was just like, it looks like you don't care about like how you dress and everything. And I was like, no, like, like, my family and everything, I never did really care. I'd always put it off. I just didn't think it was important. And my friend got me into like caring about how I dress. And ever since then, like when like every time Tan's talking about stuff, I'm just like, yeah.
You're like, preach.
Yeah, I'm just like, it's so important, like, to like know like how you want to dress and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's something I've only recently started to do a bit more. Like most of the time I was just like, okay, whatever's easiest and move on. I wasn't even really a factor. But I think as the pandemic kind of like set a lot of things in perspective. Like I've tried to sort of flex that a little bit more and just be like, oh, I'll wear something nice. It's it's a fun occasion or whatever, and be more open to doing that sort of thing versus like what I would normally do, which is just like, do the bare minimum for fashion and then move on.
Yeah. Oh shoot. I just recently discovered I really like chinos, like the pants. I don't know
what's that?
They're like, here, let me. You have the stream up, right? I can show you really quick.
Yeah.
So I just bought some more. So like a specific style of pants. Let's see. Full cap. So they're kind of. I have like 6 different colors, but they're just like almost like the material's different. It's like it's not. I guess in a sense it is like khakis, but like there's different colors and everything, and they're very like just wah. I don't know why I like that kind of style. Like I like the skinny jeans and stuff too, but
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know that like I
Show
enjoy
off the
that.
curves.
Yeah, I know. I gotta start showing off the curves in my legs. I've been working hard for those things. Where's my button? There we go. But yeah, so like I find out I really love those kind of pants. I really enjoy those. I've been wearing shorts more, like trying to find nice looking shorts. I know like freaking Tan hates. Oh, I mean he doesn't hate shorts. He hates those cargo shorts.
Oh, well, yeah, because that's what most people go towards,
Yeah.
when they're not really thinking about it that much.
But yeah, so I've enjoyed the fashion. Of course, I've always enjoyed it for a while now. And then like the skin routine and stuff like that. Before watching the show, I was trying not, I was trying to get into it. And I still struggle even after watching the show because it's just building that like the habit and the routine like every night in the morning, like, and I'm just like, ugh. But I also know like eating specific foods also helps with that as well. So like,
Yeah, definitely.
I've been at least trying to incorporate it into my diet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't get really bad acne or anything, so I'm guessing it's kind of working.
Yeah, I had bad acne in high school and like later parts of middle school and stuff, but it kind of, I mean, I still get pimples every once in a while, but I think everybody does.
Yeah,
it's
I do.
not nowhere near as aggressive as it was when I was younger.
And then like, oh, and like Bobby's whole thing, like, I always write down his tips. I'm like, okay, this is how you make the house look like this, just so for the future when I get my own house. Like, yeah, good stuff though.
They're all so good at their jobs.
Mm-hmm. So, what is your favorite game genre?
Ooh,
Oh,
that's
goodbye.
hard. I guess I would have to say action RPG, I think, is the one that I go to the most, like across all the games that I enjoy. I enjoy things being a little bit faster paced, and then I enjoy having some level of customizability over it. I think that's why I've taken to Mass Effect so well, because it's like a, and I love sci-fi too, so it's like I get a little bit of action for the adrenaline. I get like the RPG elements to like have influence over the story and stuff, and then the sci-fi. I've always been a fan of Star Wars, so it's kind of like the perfect trifecta of goodness for me. But I don't know, like I dabble in like pretty much all games. Like I've been known to enjoy platformers. There's a lot of really good platformers that I like. Limbo and Inside are really interesting, and I played Super Meat Boy a lot at one point, and bashed my head against that brick wall for a while, and then real-time strategy games as well. I know we've played like Age of Empires and stuff in the past. And
that's
really
my dad's
enjoyed...
favorite game.
yeah. Are you excited for the fourth one?
Oh my dude, like I'm trying to get my dad hyped for it too.
Get him on the hype train.
Yeah. But I mean, he's kind of old school. Like I try to get him into 3, but he just can't.
Yeah, so I played like real-time strategy games. I've played action games, adventure games. I don't know. Like I just play games. Like I have certain genres that I tilt towards more often, but I try and get a little bit of everything. I haven't done as many horror games lately though. Which I guess in retrospect is kind of odd developing one, but like I used to play them a lot in college, and like early on into my career, but I don't know, maybe I'm just like not as like I feel more frail or something. Like I tried to start Resident Evil 7 again for the first time because I was like, oh, Village is coming out, I'll play that, and I got like I don't know, I got like 15-20 minutes into it, and I was playing it with my wife Marsha, and we were sitting on the couch, and we're just like, I'm not really about this right now. I don't know what changed, because I used to play like Dead Space, and I love those games, and Amnesia, and played those games a lot, and so I don't know, maybe it's just a getting older thing, but yeah, long and short of it is I play basically anything and everything, or at least I try to give it at least an honest try,
All right, you're a gamer again.
Yeah, I'm a true gamer.
Yeah. That's cool though. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like I I do the same thing. I try to hit up everything. I mean, that's why
Hmm.
my whole stream, like, I try to do a specific genre every month so I can hit
Yeah,
multiple
yeah.
stuff.
Hmm.
Because, like, people are like, oh, you got to play one game and that's all you got to do on your stream. I'm like, that's
Hmm.
just not the kind of person I am. I don't want to play one type of
Hmm.
game. So yeah, that's why I have platformer month, RPG month. You know,
Yeah,
spin the
that's a cool
wheels.
way to do it, and then you end up like trying new things probably from sticking to that like
Oh,
you know
there's so many
format.
games I probably never would have played if it
Right?
wasn't for
Yeah, yeah.
this. Like, I probably would have never played Ori. Like, honestly,
Hmm.
I didn't care for it. I was just like, oh, okay, platformers. Like, I like platformers, but I don't know. I guess it didn't really stand out too much to me. I mean, it was a beautiful game,
Hmm.
but nothing in the story kind of screamed like, oh yeah, I gotta play this.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's definitely like, what is it? Last year I played Sally Face, which I've always seen, but I was just kind of like, looks like crap. I don't really care for it. It's like a point and click game, but one of my viewers recommended it, and I was just like, okay, I'll try it. You know, we'll play it for this month, and God, I enjoyed it so much.
Hmm.
Like, so yeah, I'm definitely glad I decided to do it this way.
Hmm.
I'm lost. I did the whole thing that I said I was gonna go, and
Oh, you did went to that marker, and then now you're stuck
yeah,
again.
I'm stuck again. Guardian of the Marsh. Find Qualock. Who the hell? Like, I can go past. I gotta get that giant stone creature out of the way, but
Hmm.
you know what? It's all right. It's cool. I think. Oh, I was gonna ask, what is something you'd like to work on next after this horror genre? What would be a genre you'd like to tackle?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I don't know. I maybe something more like actiony. I think probably. Having a bit more. I don't know if I'd maybe do a shooter, but maybe something that has more direct combat in it. Cause like the game making right now is more of like indirect combat. Like you're creating spoopy occurrences for the other player, but you're not like directly like punching them in the face or anything. So
Mm-hmm.
it'd be interesting to try something a little bit more direct combat wise. I don't know. Like to me, that's like that's a far away question for me to think about.
No, that's all. I was just curious if you had something in mind already.
No, not right now.
All right. And okay, that we kind of talked about that already, so we can skip that long ass discussion. I was gonna be like, games is art. Can games not be art? I mean, we both kind of agree that
Yeah.
games are art.
Yes, it can be, and it is, and it will always be.
Is there any games that really changed your life?
That's a good question. I remember playing Soma. Did you play Soma?
Oh, I have that one planned this year. I have to
I
play it.
had like an existential crisis after playing that game, and like because it deals with very hard sci-fi concepts of like
Yeah.
what is consciousness and how can it be preserved or maintained and stuff. And I
Mhm.
don't know, that really got me like it really went like I remember the day after I beat that game I was still like in a funk, like just like contemplating life. But on a lighter note, I think just like Super Smash Bros. In a way has kind of like really I've been able to meet a lot of people through my love for Super Smash Bros. And
Uh-huh.
also like just the different levels of competitiveness and also teaching like new people how to play it. Like I've forged a lot of friendships that way and really gotten to discover people's like pressure points, because it like Super Smash Brothers is like kind of a party game, but it's also got a really deep combat system, so you
Mhm.
end up having like people who are new to it get like stomped, and that's not always that fun. So I don't know, just like from a very young age, I would play Super Smash Brothers with my sister and my cousins and stuff, and I didn't really have anybody else to play with, and then you start to develop bigger social circle and see more people who are into that game. And I don't know, that's just like, that's the game that I've carried with me like my entire life, that I've like enjoyed every single experience I've had with it, from a social standpoint, and
That's good.
just met a lot of interesting people who so enjoy Smash, and like we had at Magnopus, we actually had it was Smash Club, and it was like every Wednesday at lunch we would all huddle into a conference room and play Smash Bros. And it was so interesting, like seeing the people that you wouldn't expect to be really good, just based on their personality or whatever, making false assumptions, of course, but like, and then you see like, oh my god, they're like a god at this character, like how did they even get to that point, and I always find that really interesting. Like there's just something about like, oh, what Smash character do you play, and you can glean something off their personality by like what character they've attached themselves to and have gotten good at. And I don't know, I've just always found it interesting.
All right, what does my Smash character say about me? My main is Yoshi.
Whimsical, maybe.
Yeah. That's funny though.
You like eating things.
You like to just throw your shit at people. You just start taking it all literal.
Is Yoshi the only character you play? Or
You're
do you play
a green dino. Oh, I actually play like almost every character. So, but like Yoshi's like Yoshi, Mario, and probably you two are probably like the ones and Roy. I have a lot of like ones I play a lot, but like I don't go pro with any of them or anything. Like I'm not like totally learn them top to bottom.
Yeah, I had a brief stint where I was playing a lot of competitive Smash Ultimate online, with the ranked system that they have. I got pretty good as Ganondorf and Little Mac. But everybody hates Ganondorf because he is a little overpowered. So I feel, there's a little bit of guilt that comes with playing him, I think.
I still can't go over there. Well, I'm just gonna chill out here for the last 10 minutes we have, or 8 minutes. But yeah, that's all my questions. Do you have?
We got through them all, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you have anything for me? Ooh. And No Roof Access is just trying to get under our skin by saying the Wombats are average at best. Well, you know what?
Wow, who dares say that? That's upsetting.
The troll, that's who.
Did you listen to their newest single?
Probably not. I haven't.
Yeah, they came out with a new single a couple weeks ago, I think.
All right, I gotta check it out then. After this.
What game has changed your life? I like that question.
I'm always good at, I'm good at asking questions, but answering them.
You don't even give a second thought into the questions you're subjecting these people to.
Let's see. Game has changed my life. I guess it's a funny thing when I was writing that question down. I was like, he's probably gonna ask me this question. I should probably think about this. And the thing I came up with was Monster Hunter, only because like, me and my friends became like really good friends because we just like spend the night at each other's houses and play Monster Hunter on the PSP. Like it's just like good times. And
huddle around the tiny handheld game device and
yeah, like we just like be like, oh, whose house we're going over tonight? Like, oh, this guy's, and like it was good stuff because like it just helped us bond with each other and like just spend we just spend nights with each other, like just sitting there playing games, helping each other out and stuff like that. And like, yeah, at the end of the day, we're just playing video games and stuff like that. But we really did bond, like just spending all that time together. Like they're like brothers to me now, like. And like even my little brother, like we used to spend nights playing Monster Hunter on the PSP as well. Like, so like it, even my own brother, like I've had that connection with him doing that. So yeah, and then my older brother's the one that introduced me to Monster Hunter. So like I have a connection with both of my brothers as well with that game franchise.
Right.
But besides that, I guess Twisted Metal, because I used to play the hell out of that game when I was a kid, and like I'm still.
Wasn't that rated M? Are you were allowed to play that? You broke some laws there, buddy.
Look, all I did is walk in with my gray hair, and I was like, look. I know, and
as a kid.
Yeah, I was already full gray. No, I wasn't full gray already, but Um, God, I wasn't even full gray when I went into college, right? Like I was still little. My hair
Yeah,
was a little
you were
dark.
salt and pepper. You were salt and
Yeah.
pepper.
Now my hair is like, it's like
Yeah.
silver now.
You still got a little bit though. You still
Yeah,
got a little
it's
salt
not
and
really
pepper.
that noticeable though. But yeah, that would probably be. It would probably just be like Monster Hunter. That's been like the biggest game in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Silent Hill only because like just watching my brother. I used to watch my brother all the time play Silent Hill. And that game is probably the game that got me into horror because like just seeing how like I looked up to my brother and like he's like always been like this like strong like role model in my life, and just seeing him kind of just fall apart in that game just like terrified. I was just like, wow, the power of horror. And so like yeah, like in a sense that's like changed my life too. But yeah, I don't know if you have any other questions. We got 4 minutes. This is your chance to get anything out. You know, anything you've always been on your mind, and you can do it in front of a live studio audience.
Would you like to play the game on the stream sometime? I guess is my question. My game
Hell
on
yeah!
your stream.
I want to check out that new map. Like you said, all I gotta play was the boxes. I would have
Oh,
played that.
You haven't played the one with art in it yet? Oh,
no.
Man. Okay. All right. We'll include you on the latest round of playtesting for sure. Then maybe we'll do it on
like,
stream. I don't know. I have to talk to the rest of the team.
Yeah, because when I went to your house, like the.
That's right. I
yeah.
showed you the Unity project. Yeah.
And I was just like, that looks good. I want to try it.
We've graduated from Blockland. It's still a prototype, but we graduated from Blockland. Yeah. No, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, we definitely want to start, drumming up sort of the community aspect around it because, we want to keep working on this for a while. And I think that's only going to happen if we have like, a community that's also interested in it. I think that's one of the things that's made Dead by Daylight so successful too, is the community is so passionate, and they're always, giving feedback and, I think that's really valuable, especially for, early access games and stuff, because we're open in the sense that we're trying to make something that we would like to play, and but it's just three people's, it's just our brainchild, but there's a million things that we're probably not going to catch or realize that like, oh yeah, actually if we did just simplify this thing it would be better, yada yada. So I think that that's the part I'm really excited about, is like starting to get it into the hands of people and getting their feedback and starting that iterative loop process, where it's more than just the three of us working on it. It's like it's a community thing, it's a big collaboration. And I think that some of the greatest success stories in gaming, I think, have been built around that mentality, like Dead by Daylight being a prime example of that. Like they listen to feedback well, and they've been able to build something that's like I would put it in a blockbuster category at this point, considering how much how many copies they've sold, how many platforms they've gone on, and so I
listening
think
to feedback.
Okay, well maybe that's just from an outsider's perspective. I'm not a Dead by Daylight aficionado as you are.
They're putting in time though. That's the important part.
Yeah, exactly. They have not abandoned it, which you do see with some early access games, unfortunately. And I think I've been a part of a few of those indirectly. But I think it's admirable when developers stick with it so long. Another success story in that vein is No Man's Sky.
I was actually going to mention that too.
Came out in a very rough state, and a lot of broken promises and stuff like that, and they stuck with it because they believed in the product and they listened to the community, and they built something that is, from what I understand, I haven't played it, but it's like it's been revitalized, the franchise, and I think that's really interesting, and I think that's really a really healthy thing to do with your art or your creative medium, like seeing how it impacts people and looking to them for feedback, because you are developing the game for them, so you might as well be part of the process with them. So yeah.
All right, we are at officially 2 hours in, so we were gonna end the stream here, y'all. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate you guys all being here. Those of you that were lurking, and those of you who were chatting. You know, both of you guys are always welcome here. Luke, thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it, friend.
Yeah, it was a blast. Thanks for having me.
You know what? It was so great. Just like we talked through the whole thing. Like we were talking at first, like we're both tired. We don't know if we're gonna get 2 hours in, but we did it. You know, we made it through. So I'm happy about that.
But you had a lot of good questions, so that helped.
Oh, I hope to get better at that too, because like I want to, you know, engage people and really get them thinking about that kind of stuff, and also get them to talk about things that they're doing with their lives, because you know, who knows what information, you know, might help somebody else that's just watching and just like, oh,
exactly,
shoot,
yeah.
know? But anyways, yes, we're gonna get going, guys. You guys take care. Hopefully tomorrow I don't get lost again. I'll
yeah, good luck
yeah.
navigating the forest.
I'll probably look up a guide or something. Honestly, I don't get too attached to like, you know, getting through these games on my own.
Asking for help.
Yeah, like honestly, like I just want to get through the game. It's not like trying to do it on my own and everything. Like it's not the point of it. But all right, guys, take care. Have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.